Today we're taking a look at these NBA matches, which are happening on Sunday, February 12, 2023, and giving you our team and total picks for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and make sure to watch it till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. Also check out our Patreon if you want to access our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. You will find the link in description and comment section below. One more thing before we start, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link in the description and comment section below. Boston Celtics versus Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies used a second quarter flurry to take control in a 128-107 blowout win over the Minnesota Timberwolves Friday. Ja Morant had 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists, and Desmond Bane added 20 points. Santi Aldama finished with 18 points and Jaren Jackson Jr. chipped in 15 as the Grizzlies shot almost 60% for the game. The win was the second straight for Memphis, after going through a stretch where the Grizzlies lost 8 of 9. The Celtics controlled the majority of the game in a 127-116 win over the Charlotte Hornets, a score that looked closer than the game was. Jason Tatum scored 41 points and Derek White set new career highs with 33 points and 8 three-pointers. Tatum began the fourth quarter on the bench but was brought back in after Charlotte cut Boston's lead to 14 points with under 7 minutes left to play. The Hornets trailed by 28 in the third quarter before closing the period on a 15-3 run, but the game was over shortly after Tatum came back. It was Tatum's 8th game this season with 40 or more points. Boston has won 5 of its last 6 overall and swept the season series with the Hornets 4-0. Jaylen Brown suffered an orbital fracture and will be out through the All-Star break. The Grizzlies used a second quarter burst to take control in a 128-107 win over the Minnesota Timberwolves Friday. Ja Morant had 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists, and Desmond Bane added 20 points. The win was the second straight for Memphis, after going through a stretch where the Grizzlies lost 8 of 9. They are back to playing elite basketball with Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. back in the lineup and have the advantage over Boston without Jaylen Brown. He will not be out long, but they are not the same championship caliber club with him unavailable. Memphis is 12-3-1 ATS in their last 16 games facing Eastern Conference opponents. Take Memphis to win. Memphis is 5th in pace of play entering this inter-conference battle with Boston. This game features 2 of the most efficient teams in the NBA. Both clubs are top 5 in defensive rating, with the Grizzlies 3rd in rebounding percentage and Boston top 3 in offensive rating. The edge in this game lies in Memphis' ability to control the glass and keep Tatum in check, 2 things I believe they will accomplish in a win. The total has gone under in 9 of Memphis' last 11 games. Take the under in this gritty defensive game. Toronto Raptors versus Detroit Pistons. In a matchup between 2 of the worst teams in the NBA, Detroit came out with a 138-131 overtime win over the San Antonio Spurs. Bojan Bogdanovic scored 10 of his 32 points in overtime, and rookie Jalen Duren had 30 points and 17 boards. Duren joined Moses Malone, LeBron James, and Paolo Banchero as the only teenagers to have 30 points and 15 rebounds in an NBA/ABA game. Detroit has the worst record in the Eastern Conference. San Antonio is slightly above Houston in the West, and both are on pace to share the best odds to win the lottery and the number 1 pick in the draft. This could hurt Detroit's chances later in the year, but you can't lose every single game. Both teams were short-handed because of trade deadline moves. James Wiseman, acquired for Saddiq Bey, was not available for Detroit with the 4-team trade pending. The Toronto Raptors squandered a 12-point lead late in the fourth as they lost 122-116 at home to the Utah Jazz. Pascal Siakam scored 35 points, topping 30 for the second straight game, but Toronto could not extend its 3-game winning streak. The Raptors have not won 4 straight at any point this season. Gary Trent Jr. scored 19 points, Fred VanVleet had 17 and Precious Achiuwa had 16 in a game that Toronto had in the bag. Toronto led 112-100 with just under 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, but the Jazz tied it with a 12-0 run. Toronto led 96-83 through 3 quarters but shot 8 for 23 in the fourth. Utah outscored them 39-20 in the final period. Center Jakob Poeltl came off the bench for Toronto after being acquired from San Antonio ahead of Thursday's trade deadline. Poeltl, who began his career with the Raptors, had 6 points and 4 rebounds in 17 minutes. Scotty Barnes had 12 points, 9 assists, and 7 rebounds. OG Anunoby, sprained left wrist, missed his 7th straight game. This was a devastating loss for Toronto, and they are 5 games below the .500 mark entering this game. In a matchup between two of the worst teams in the NBA, Detroit came out with a 138-131 overtime win over the San Antonio Spurs. Bojan Bogdanovic scored 10 of his 32 points in overtime, and rookie Jalen Duren had 30 points and 17 boards. Although they won, this actually hampers Detroit's chances at the top pick considering they played the second worst team in the NBA. Toronto blew the game at home against Utah, but the perfect remedy for their ailments comes in the form of Detroit. They have lost 12 of their last 16 games and have failed to cover the spread in 8 of 10 against Eastern Conference foes. Look for the Raptors to bounce back with a win at home. Take Toronto minus 10 points. Detroit Bojan Bogdanovic converted all 10 free throw attempts and finished with a game-high 32 points. Rookie Jalen Duren contributed 30 points, 17 rebounds, and 4 blocks. Amidou Diallo scored 14 points in 18 minutes off the bench for the Pistons. The Toronto Raptors are 3 games above .500 at home and trail Washington by a half game for 10th place in the Eastern Conference standings. On Friday, Toronto was outscored by 19 points during the fourth quarter of a 122-116 home loss versus Utah. The Raptors, 26-31, surrendered 76 points in the paint and allowed the Jazz to shoot 54% from the field. All-Star Pascal Siakam led all scorers with 35 points on 12 for 21 shooting and pulled down 6 boards. Gary Trent Jr. added 19 points, 7 to 20 FG, and 5 rebounds. Fred VanVleet scored 17 points, 4 to 13 FG, and dished out 4 assists for the Raptors. On the defensive end of the court, the Pistons are allowing 119.8 points per game and their opponents have shot 49.2% from the floor. This is the second most points allowed per contest, and the second highest shooting percentage surrendered. According to DungeonsandThrees.com, Detroit has the 29th lowest adjusted defensive rating in the NBA. The Pistons have been better at defending on the perimeter, though. They are forcing their opponents to shoot 35.8% from behind the arc, which is the 14th lowest three-point shooting percentage allowed. They have also snatched 42.5 rebounds per game, which is the 21st most in the league. The Toronto Raptors squandered a 12-point lead late in the fourth as they lost 122-116 at home to the Utah Jazz. Pascal Siakam scored 35 points, topping 30 for the second straight game, but Toronto could not extend its 3-game winning streak. This is a good spot for them to start another streak, as they are in danger of falling deeper in a hotly contested Western Conference. Toronto had 18 assists on 20 made baskets in the first half last time out, but could not sustain it through the game. They will have a lot more success in this game. The total number has gone over in 5 of 7 between these two clubs. Take the over 229.5 points here.